Alright guys, welcome back to Strong Successful Male. So for today, I'm going to go over an email that was sent from a subscriber. This is about a guy. He shares a story about his brother-in-law, an experience his brother-in-law went through many years ago when he was young, like 19 years old. And this experience that he goes through literally matches up with so many things I talk about nowadays. And you're going to see here in this story, the brother-in-law moves in with his girlfriend, which I warned you not to do. And they live together, they think everything is great, and one day his best friend since childhood needs a place to stay, I guess problems at home. He lets him move in, of course, with him, his girlfriend, and the best friend. And later on down the road, you're going to see what happens here, and I'm sure you guys can connect the dot what happened, right? And ultimately, the direction it goes and how the girl responds and all that, and ultimately tries to accuse him of certain things and being his fault and all, but I don't want to reveal too much. But there's some definitely very important themes here, which I will get into as I go along, like don't move with your girlfriend, bros before, you know what that is. I gotta be careful what I say in here. I was suspended from YouTube just a few days ago, so I gotta be careful, amongst many other important lessons here. But ultimately, you're gonna see this guy comes out on top. The world can be fair sometimes, so let me just get into it. He says, "Hi SSM, I have a story for you. It is from 1989. My young brother-in-law, I'll call him Brett, moved in with his girlfriend, I'll call her Annie, or Ann. He was electrical apprentice for his girlfriend's father, and she worked at her uncle's business as a receptionist. They had been seeing each other for about 2 years before moving in together. At the time, he was 19 and the girlfriend 17. I want to know how the father let her move in with another dude at 17 years old. And moving in, I tell you all the time, guys, for so many reasons, and many of you guys know why, don't move with your girlfriend. The only time you should move with your girl is if absolutely you're going to get married. And even then, I tell you, don't do that. But if you're going to do it anyway, you move in with her if you're going to marry her as a test run to see what she's like. But other than that, don't even bother. Because just move in together, just because everything's going to be so wonderful, magical, and you can split the bills, time and time again, it's proven not exactly worth it, especially nowadays. And many of you guys watching this can certainly back that up. But anyhow, I got to mention that right away from the get-go. He says, so they moved in together. After a year, his best friend, I'll call him BF, moved in as he wanted more freedom from his parents. Brett had known his best friend since they were 5 years old and had grown up together. Now, there's a bad idea. It's bad enough he's moving in with his girlfriend, and now he allows his best friend to come in. But I'm sure he's thinking, nothing could possibly go wrong. Well, you're going to see here. So he moves in and all is okay. So this is before mobile phones and email. Anyway, Brett is happy with his life. A great attentive girlfriend, 1 year left in his trade, the vintage car he wanted, earning his good wage, life was good. Well, so he thought. So one morning at work, he was injured at work. He was taken to the doctors and received several stitches in his hand. So his boss says to him to take a few days off to recover. This is about 11 o'clock in the morning. Brett goes home early as Ann and the best friend are at their respective workplaces, and he just walks in. So I'm sure many of you guys can already see where this is going. He walks into his house, and he heard noises from his bedroom. He walks in ready to take on an intruder, and there is his best friend, wait for it, on top of Ann, and they were having a merry old time. Clearly the best friend doesn't know about the whole bros before 304s or garden hose. Best friend, this guy lets him move in with him to help out. Buddy since he was 5 years old, and he's there doing his girl. And again, back, what does it also say about her? And I want to hear, oh, she was young. She was a teenager. Bullshit. That shows her character right there. He says Brett loses it. He punches the hell out of the best friend and throws them both out. The best friend grabs a few things and leaves. Ann wants to stand her ground and refuses to leave. You gotta be kidding me. She's there doing his best friend, and he throws them both out. It's his place, and she refuses to leave. She's obviously, it sounds like a woman nowadays. He says Brett calls the cops, and they arrive a short time later, a male and a female. By the time they arrive, she is in hysterics, crying, apologizing, saying it won't happen again. It was an accident. How on earth is it an accident? How is hooking up an accident? Were you just there? Was a magical spell cast upon these two? Was Voldemort doing his morning jog through the neighborhood? waved his wand and put a spell on them to make them hook up? Is that what happened there? I love it was an accident line. It's ridiculous. And of course, crying and apologizing won't happen again. Yeah, sure. Please. How many times has it happened so far? But she won't leave. The cop suggests to Brett that he go somewhere for a few days. Bullshit. Why should he leave? She's the one cheating on him with his best friend. Why should this guy leave? No way, he says. This is my place, and produces the lease, all in his name. She couldn't get on it as she was under 18 when he got the place. So the cops tell Ann that she has to go. Good for him. There's a lesson, guys. Always keep that lease available just in case a situation ever arises. Not that it should, because you guys shouldn't live with your girl. Now Ann starts screaming at him that it's all his fault. How's it his fault? She cheated. Insulting his manhood and his bedroom performance, and as a FU told the cops that he had hit her before they arrived. It is like right out of the book. The crying, the apologizing, that doesn't get anywhere, so twisting things around, and now insulting his manhood down south, his bedroom performance, and saying, oh, by the way, he did this, this, and this to me. To the police. It's terrible. And unfortunately, we all know darn well, usually the guy would be put in cuffs, taken away. But not this time. She says, the cops say, oh really? Show us where he hit you. As there wasn't a scratch or mark on her, the female cop took her to the bedroom to examine her, and she was going to start the cop was going to take her to examine her, the female cop, and as she was going in, she started to scratch herself to show injuries right in front of the female cop. The female cop caught her doing this and told him that she would be charged if she tried this on them. Thank the Lord. So the cops take her to the police station where her mother came to pick her up. When she did, she told her mother about Brett doing these so-called things to her, and that the cops wouldn't do anything. Unbelievable. She's been with this guy for 2 years, and he thought everything was great, and then she was doing his friend, and then he threw her out of the house, rightfully so. The cops come, and then she's now going to make these false accusations, which could have a lifetime thing on his record, cause him problems. What does it show about her and her character? He says, fortunately, Brett was straight on the phone to her father, his boss, and told him everything about her scratching herself and blaming him. And, of course, the hooking up. That took balls, calling the dad, but what else could he do? He says the father, he is understanding and says he will call back in a day or two. In the meantime, she bombards the phone home continuously. This is also before call waiting and answering machines, or call screening. A few days later, her dad calls back and lets Brett know that he has done some digging around, and it turns out that Ann has been taking a lot of days off from the uncle's business to help her dad, apparently. This did not happen. She was doing it at least once a week for more than 6 months. Translation, she was taking a day off from work to say she was helping the dad because she was working for the uncle, and it's been going for 6 months, meaning she's been going home while this dude, Brett, our hero here, was at work doing the best friend. So she's been hooking up with the best friend multiple times a week for 6 months. And this guy's the bad guy here. I would be so disgusted and ashamed with my daughter if I was the father of this guy. Get out of here. You're not the girl I raised. A few days later, her dad calls back. I read that, my bad. It continues, there was a family meeting and the uncle fired her. Awesome. The parents arranged to get all her things on the next weekend, but he was now worried that since he wasn't with the daughter anymore, that he would lose his apprenticeship. This is Brett. He says he didn't need to worry as the father kept him on and banned the daughter from the workshop. But then she tried to complain to her father that Brett had been mistreating her for years. God, this girl just wouldn't let up. Thank God the father and the uncle aren't buying into this BS. The father didn't believe her. She still came to the workshop to parade around in a skimpy outfit and asked Brett out for drinks, and he refused every time. So after all this, what she did, the accusations of cheating, she was still showing up there in skimpy little outfits trying to get him to go out with her. Probably just to seduce him, get him to go out with her, and then obviously make an accusation to stick, because she obviously doesn't let things go. He says, later on, Ann moved in with the best friend, and they got engaged. But Brett heard that a few months later, she cheated on the best friend and moved in with the newest guy. As the saying goes, once a cheater, always a cheater. A lot of people don't like that, but it really is proven true so many times. This girl's a piece of garbage. He says Brett stayed until his apprenticeship was over and went to work for another company as a tradesman. 5 years later, he met a great girl. Eventually, they married and have been together ever since, and they have 3 children together. He runs his own successful business now, a big house, great cars, overseas holiday, and a great retirement package. Awesome. Good for Brett. He says, now listen to this, to show you that the women never back down, and they're always going to come back. He says, every now and again, Anne would try to contact Brett, but he ignored her. When Facebook arrived, she would periodically try and friend him as he always ignored her. He also never spoke to the best friend again after that. Once bitten, keep up the good work. So there you go, guys. It's a quick story, but again, just proving the point on so many different things, like in particular how guy could do everything right, and the next thing you know, he's being cheated on, and he rightfully, ends it with her, or kicks her out, and then turns it around and the girl blames him. And worse yet, accuses the guy of doing all these awful things. I mean, right there, she was trying to scratch herself or whatever just so the cops would believe her. Unbelievable, but it happens. And so many guys, how many guys have been accused, got in trouble over something like that? They didn't do anything. And notice how she was just relentless with her story that he did this, did that. It was bullshit. But thank the Lord that the father and uncle didn't buy into that BS. And also the lesson, guys, about how, very important, bros before hoes. I'm going to say it. There are there's almost 8 billion people on the planet. Half are men, half are women, give or take. So, your buddy has a hot girlfriend or whatever it is, don't screw up a good friendship over that. There's plenty of options out there. Unbelievable. And I don't care the fact that they were kids or teenagers. Doesn't matter. That shows character. I guarantee they're the same people they are now than they were back then. Okay? Guys, your buddies are more important than anything. Do not screw up great friendships over just some chick. Because a lot of times these chicks just want to see if they can get the guy to do it. I kid you not. And also the lesson about moving with your girl. Unless you're going to get married, and even then I warn you about that, but if you're going to do it anyway, that's the only reason to do it. Otherwise, don't move with your girl. Don't do it because you think everything's going to be magical and wonderful and great like that. It's better that you guys are apart. You see her once a week, maybe twice on occasion. Always keep her wondering where you are, what you're doing, how much you care, if you're thinking about her. That keeps them very interested. That keeps them on their best behavior, treating you really great as you should be treated. On the other hand, you move in together, then all of a sudden, the sexy girl you once knew is wearing these crappy old sweatpants with holes in it all the time. She's always bugging you where you're going, what you're doing, all that. Her hair's sticking up like the Bride of Frankenstein. You get to see the real her. There's the nagging about leaving the toilet seat up and leaving the cap off the toothpaste. Not taking out the trash fast enough, the dishes are piling up. You get the point. Amongst many other things that you could be on the hook for. It's not worth it. It's always best to have them, wondering what you're doing, having some distance and space. That's been my experience, and I'm sure many of you guys have experienced that too. So anyhow, a lot of lessons in this story, and a lot of things that are no surprise to many people. That was a good story, and thank you to the guy that sent it over to me. So, all right, guys, that is it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Let me know what you think about this story. Let me know if you ever knew about any situation that ever happened like this to you or somebody you knew. And guys, also, as I say all the time, if you ever come across a really good article or story or personal story in your life that you'd like to share with me, by all means, email it to me. My email can be found in the About section of the YouTube channel or down at the bottom of the description. Just make sure you write out really well, easy to read. That will help me out in covering the story. And if it definitely works out, I will certainly do it in the future. I get these things all the time, so just be patient, give me some time, and I'll get to it if it definitely works out. Sometimes I'll do a bunch of stories that are kind of similar, and then I got to take a break and come back to about a month or so later. Have some variety in the channel. And be sure to like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe. And I'll catch you next time.